Imagine, just for a second, that you are the ultimate gatekeeper. Like you are standing at the front door of a multi-million or maybe even, a multi-billion dollar business.
Right. No pressure at all.
Right, exactly. And your sole job, keeping out the bad actors, like stopping the flow of dirty money. You're basically the human shield standing between this legitimate enterprise and international financial crime.
Yeah, which it sounds a lot like the plot of some espionage thriller, doesn't it?
It really does. But I mean, for thousands of professionals around the world, that is literally just a Tuesday morning.
Yeah.
And to do that job, you need a very specific, incredibly robust set of tools.
You do, because honestly, it is an enormous operational burden. In a world of, constantly tightening regulations, knowing how to protect a business, it isn't just some niche compliance skill anymore.
Right.
It serves as this critical, fundamental shield for practically any organization operating in the global market. Because, well, without that shield, the entire enterprise is exposed to just catastrophic risk.
Wow. Yeah. And that actually brings us to our mission for today's deep dive, because we have the actual blueprint for how that global shield is built. We're going to be exploring the official syllabus and the requirements for the ICA certificate in KYC and CDD.
Which is a level 2 introductory qualification, right?
Exactly. And our goal today is to decode these massive corporate buzzwords. Like we want to understand what this training actually teaches, how it stops financial crime, and ultimately figure out who actually needs to take it.
Because when you look past all those corporate acronyms, what you're really looking at is it's basically a masterclass in modern corporate detective work.
I love that. Corporate detective work.
Yeah, it's a formalized system for navigating deception.
Okay, well, let's unpack this alphabet soup first. Because before we can, evaluate a credential, we really have to understand the fundamental problem the training is trying to solve.
Right, you have to know what's broken before you can learn how to fix it.
Exactly. Okay. So we're talking about KYC, which stands for Know Your Customer,
Yeah.
and CDD, which is Customer Due Diligence. And I was looking through the syllabus for this ICA certificate, and there's a specific module that literally asks the question out loud. CDD, why bother?
Which is frankly the exact question any business leader is going to ask.
Right.
Because if you run a company, your primary directive is to bring revenue in, not, interrogate your prospective clients at the front door. I mean, friction is the enemy of sales.
Yeah, that makes total sense. So I've been trying to wrap my head around the scale of this. Like, on a basic level, I understand checking IDs. If I go to a bank to open an account, I show my driver's license, right?
Basic identity verification.
But why do professionals need an internationally recognized certification one that's backed by a major university just to learn how to check a corporate ID? Like, is it really that different from, say, a bouncer at a nightclub spotting a fake driver's license?
Oh, it is. The stakes and the mechanics are just entirely different. I mean, in the global financial system, a fake ID isn't a laminated card with a scratched off birth year.
Right. It's not some college kid trying to buy a drink.
Exactly. A
Yeah.
corporate fake ID is a shell company. It might be registered in one jurisdiction that's known for extreme corporate secrecy.
Okay.
And then that shell company might be owned by an opaque trust located in a completely different country. And the funds they want to deposit, they might be flowing through 3 different international banks before they even reach your front door.
Wow. Wait, so the customer standing in front of you isn't really the customer at all. They're just like the final layer of this massive onion.
Precisely. And that's actually the concept of layering in money laundering. Criminals build these massive labyrinths to distance the dirty money from its illegal source.
Okay, so checking a corporate ID means you have to untangle that whole labyrinth.
Right. You have to identify what they call the ultimate beneficial owner, the UBO. That is the actual human being pulling the strings at the very top of that complex corporate structure.
That sounds incredibly complicated.
It is. You can't just look at a piece of paper. You have to navigate these overlapping global regulatory frameworks to verify that the entity isn't, a front for terrorism financing or human trafficking or evading international sanctions.
Oh, wow. Okay, that drastically changes the why bother equation for me. It isn't just about avoiding a regulatory fine because you filed some bad paperwork.
Not at all.
If a bank or a tech company or even a real estate firm fails to untangle that labyrinth, they inadvertently become the getaway car for global crime syndicates.
Yeah, that's exactly what happens because systemic risk is the core issue here. The global financial system is deeply, deeply interconnected.
Right. Money moves so
Yeah.
fast now.
Exactly. If one institution in one country decides to just wing it and accept dirty funds, it infects the entire grid. That money is now clean and can move freely anywhere in the world. So, a formalized, globally understood framework is really the only way to build a unified defense.
Okay, I definitely see the necessity now. But functionally, like how does a business actually survive that level of scrutiny?
What do you mean?
Well, if a global bank is processing, let's say, 10,000 new clients a day, and they have to untangle an international corporate labyrinth for every single one of them, I feel like the business would just grind to a halt. Like you'd need an absolute army of compliance officers.
You're completely right. And that's why you have to think of it kind of like airport security.
Okay, airport security. How so?
Well, if TSA agents had to completely unpack every single piece of luggage, tear out the linings and interrogate every single passenger for 3 hours, global travel would cease to exist.
Yeah, nobody would ever fly anywhere.
Right. You simply do not have infinite resources or infinite time in a business.
Okay, so you have to filter people. Like everyone goes to the basic metal detector, but only the profiles or the bags that actually flag the system get pulled aside for the full intensive luggage search.
That is the exact mechanism taught in the syllabus. It's called the risk-based approach to CDD.
Ah, okay. The risk-based approach.
Yes. And it is arguably the most critical operational skill in compliance. The training provides the frameworks to categorize risk effectively. You're looking at factors like the customer's geographic location, the type of products they want to use, and, their specific business sector.
So like a local bakery opening a standard business checking account in a highly regulated market, yeah, they just get the metal detector.
Exactly. Very low risk.
But a foreign import-export business dealing in high-value gems, routing money through known secrecy havens, they get the full luggage swab.
They get the full swab, the secondary interview, everything. The key here is calibration. The course teaches professionals how to tune that metaphorical security scanner.
Because if it's too sensitive...
If it's too sensitive, you block legitimate business and ruin your revenue stream.
Right.
But if it's not sensitive enough, you let a cartel launder millions of dollars. And what really stands out in the source material are the testimonials from past students about this exact thing.
Oh, yeah, I saw those.
Yeah. One noted that the tasks were highly relevant to their sector and could be, quote, applied immediately, and another called the in-depth concepts a game changer.
Which really makes it a practical toolkit rather than just, dry academic theory. It's the daily operational guide for keeping the business moving while actually staying secure.
Exactly.
Which kind of makes me wonder about the actual anatomy of this credential. If a professional really needs this toolkit, what exactly does the ICA, the International Compliance Association, put them through to earn it?
Well, the structure is heavily tailored toward working professionals. Like we mentioned, it's an introductory level 2 qualification, and it awards 20 ICA CPD hours. That's continuing professional development.
Right. And it is awarded in association with Alliance Manchester Business School at the University of Manchester. So you are getting some real academic weight there.
Definitely.
But the format is what really caught my eye. It's entirely self-paced. The materials state you have access for up to 2 months, but it can literally be completed in as little as 4 weeks.
Yeah, it's very streamlined. Delivering a rigorous framework in that condensed timeline requires extreme focus. It essentially strips away all the fluff and focuses entirely on the actual mechanics of KYC and CDD.
And the assessment at the end. It's just a 1-hour online multiple choice exam. Like you take it whenever you're ready, you get your results immediately, and you download your certificate.
It's designed to be efficient. Yeah.
To me, that level of accessibility is just fascinating. You aren't asking someone to take a 6-month sabbatical from their career just to learn this.
And that accessibility is a strategic necessity. Look at the target audience listed in the syllabus. The traditional view of compliance is, a back office department full of lawyers reading boring regulations. But this course is explicitly designed for new entrants, client and project managers, middle office staff, audit professionals, and crucially, sales assistants.
Wait, sales assistants? Seriously? The people whose entire compensation structure is usually based on bringing clients in. You're training them to act as the bouncer.
Yes, because historically, there was this massive wall between sales and compliance.
Oh, I can imagine.
Sales would sign a client, throw the paperwork over the wall, and then compliance would have to play the bad guy if the client was high risk. It created massive internal friction.
Yeah, the sales team must have hated that.
They did. By putting KYC and CDD knowledge directly into the hands of frontline sales teams, you completely change the corporate culture.
Oh, I get it. Because if the sales assistant already knows what a high-risk shell company looks like, they won't even waste their time trying to pitch them.
Exactly. They spot the red flags during the very first phone call.
Wow. So they become the absolute first line of defense.
Right. And when you empower front office staff with the why and the how of customer due diligence, compliance becomes a company-wide culture rather than just a department that always says no.
That makes total sense. And it actually explains the sheer global reach I saw in the source materials.
The country list?
Yes. When you go to enroll in this course, there is a drop-down menu to select your location, and it lists practically every country and territory on Earth. I saw everything from Afghanistan and the Aeolian Islands all the way down to Zambia and Zimbabwe. It even includes incredibly remote places like the British Indian Ocean Territory and Svalbard.
Well, financial crime doesn't care about borders.
Right.
In fact, bad actors actively look for the weakest link in the international chain. If regulations in the U.S. or the European Union are incredibly strict, a money laundering syndicate will just try to route their operations through a jurisdiction where the local workforce hasn't been trained to spot modern red flags.
So a standardized, globally recognized certification acts as kind of a universal translator.
That's a great way to put it.
Like, whether you are a project manager in Canada, or a middle office worker in Malaysia, or a sales assistant in South Africa, you are speaking the exact same compliance language. You're all looking for the exact same red flags.
Because a global threat requires a global standard of defense. That is the fundamental value proposition of a credential like this.
Okay, well, let's talk about the price of acquiring that universal translator.
Yeah.
Because accessibility and university backing are great, but formalizing this knowledge requires a tangible investment.
It does.
I did some quick mental math on the fees listed in the syllabus. The course fee obviously depends on your currency, but it's listed as 730 British pounds, 803 euros, or 949 US dollars.
Which is pretty standard pricing for specialized corporate training.
Right, but there's a catch. If you are not already an existing ICA member, there is a mandatory membership fee automatically added to your basket at checkout. It's a requirement to hold the certification.
It is, yeah. And I know it adds a significant bump to the upfront cost.
Yeah, it's an additional 185 pounds, 204 euros, or 241 US dollars. So if we stick with the US dollar amount, you're looking at 949 for the course, plus 241 for the membership. That brings the total up to nearly $1,200.
It's an investment, certainly.
Right, so I have to push back here a little bit. For a self-paced course that you can knock out in 4 weeks, culminating in a 1-hour multiple-choice exam, that is a premium price tag.
Oh, curious.
Is the learner actually paying for the knowledge, or are they really just paying a toll to get those letters, Cert KYC CDD, next to their name on LinkedIn?
Well, look, the letters certainly signal competence to employers. No one is denying that. But the actual value lies in what that mandatory membership provides.
Okay, what does it provide?
It isn't just an administrative fee. You are being integrated into an international community of over 30,000 members. And more importantly, it grants you access to the personalized ICA Learning Hub and weekly webinars that cover the absolute latest industry developments.
But, I mean, why are weekly webinars necessary if I already passed the exam?
Yep.
Like, if I know how to check the corporate ID, shouldn't that be enough?
Because the concept of a corporate ID is constantly evolving. The tactics used by financial criminals shift almost daily. Imagine trying to fight modern financial crime with a static textbook written in 2020.
Oh, things have changed a lot since 2020.
Exactly. That textbook wouldn't cover the explosion of decentralized finance or cryptocurrency mixing services or, AI-driven identity fraud where criminals use deepfakes to pass video verification checks.
Oh, wow. Deepfakes. I hadn't even thought about that.
Yeah.
So the metal detector has to be constantly recalibrated because the smugglers are inventing new types of metal.
Perfect analogy, yes. The mandatory membership creates a continuous feedback loop of intelligence. You pass the initial exam to prove you understand the foundational frameworks, the risk-based approach, layering, ultimate beneficial ownership. But the membership ensures you are actively updated as the threat landscape shifts. You aren't just buying a one-off certificate. You are literally subscribing to a live global intelligence network.
Okay, that reframes the cost entirely for me. It's kind of the difference between buying a printed map of a city and buying a GPS system that constantly updates with live traffic, road closures, and new construction.
Exactly.
Because if you're the gatekeeper protecting a multi-billion-dollar business, a printed map from 5 years ago is worse than useless. It actually gives you a false sense of security.
Yeah, and the upfront cost secures the foundation. But the network effect of 30,000 professionals actively sharing new typologies and threats, that is what actually protects the business long term.
So what does this all mean? If we zoom all the way out, what is the core takeaway for you listening to this deep dive? It seems clear that the ICA Level 2 certificate in KYC and CDD is not just a corporate hoop to jump through for a resume boost.
Far from it.
It is a highly structured, internationally recognized gateway into the very real, very crucial world of corporate defense. It takes this overwhelming, abstract concept of stopping dirty money and breaks it down into actionable frameworks that a massive global workforce can actually use without, paralyzing global commerce.
Yeah. Ultimately, mastering customer due diligence and know your customer protocols is about professionalizing trust.
Professionalizing trust.
Exactly, because in a complex, completely borderless global market, you cannot rely on a firm handshake or a gut feeling about a prospective client anymore. You need empirical, verifiable trust, and this course provides the blueprint for building that trust systematically, efficiently, and safely.
Professionalizing trust. I really love that phrasing. But, it leaves me with one final forward-looking question, something for you to mull over after we wrap up today.
Let's hear it.
We've seen how this syllabus targets everyone from back-office risk managers to frontline sales assistants. As regulatory expectations continue to tighten globally and digital transactions completely erase international borders, will formalized customer due diligence training eventually stop being a specialized skill?
That's an interesting thought.
Right. Like, will it stop being something you choose to get a certificate in and instead become a fundamental, mandatory requirement for anyone who conducts business online? Could the ability to systematically know your customer soon be the basic entry fee for participating in the global economy at all?
I mean, as the technological barriers to doing international business drop to near zero, the operational barriers to verifying exactly who is on the other side of the screen will inevitably have to rise.
Yeah. It's definitely something to think about the next time you log on to do business or even just open a new account. Because whether you realize it or not, the lines are being drawn. The global labyrinth is just getting more complex. And at the end of the day, someone has to stand at the door. Someone has to be the gatekeeper. The only question is whether you have the tools to know exactly who you're letting inside.